Today is May 16th, 2024. We are interviewing Louis Dauber. My name is Esther Finder. We are in Las Vegas, Nevada, in the United States, and the language will be English. Thank you for speaking with us today. What is your name?
Louis Dauber.
Could you please spell that?
Louis Dauber.
Was this your name at birth?
Yes.
When were you born?
December 12th, 1923.
And where were you born?
Vienna, Austria.
How old are you today?
About 104.
Okay. How are you feeling today?
Pretty good, considering.
What was your father's name?
In German, Moritz Dauber, Moritz.
What work did he do?
What?
What work did he do?
He was we worked what they call banker.
What was your mother's name?
Hannah.
And what work did she do?
She didn't do any wood until the very last few years, when she had to work to make a living.
Did you have any brothers or sisters?
No, I didn't, but I do have some recollection of comments that I had a stillborn sister.
You had a sister?
No,
I'm sorry, could you please repeat? I did not hear you. You had no brothers or sisters?
no,
Okay. Had your family lived in Austria for many generations?
no. I was the only generation.
You were the only one born there?
Yeah,
Where was your father born?
in Colombia, which was probably Romania,
And where was your mother born?
in Sokolovka, which was a small town in Poland.
Do you know why your parents moved to Austria?
My parents lived in Austria. I think they were born in some little time.
Did you have a large extended family with many cousins?
I had a lot of cousins. None of them survived.
Was your family religiously observant?
My family was very observant, but I didn't quite follow.
What traditions did you all observe?
Conservative, I would say.
When you were a child, did you have a favorite holiday?
A favorite?
Holiday.
Yes, it was Pesach.
Why?
Well, preparation and follow up, and it was nice.
What are some of your very early childhood memories?
Childhood memory. Graduation from elementary school, and then continuing on to medium school or whatever.
What happened to your father when you were about 10 years old?
My father died of disease. I can't quite remember now, but I will. It was not a violent or anything. It's just a disease.
Did you experience any anti-Semitism in your childhood?
Yes.
Can you share some examples?
Well, in my childhood, for example, when I went to visit my cousin, which was 2 blocks away, they used to spit at me and do things like make it very undesirable to walk the streets. And it was not a good experience to be always afraid of walking the streets.
When you were a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
A doctor.
Why?
I don't know, somehow it seemed to be the best I've ever seen.
Do you remember the 1936 Olympics in Berlin? Did you?
In 1936, I believe that was a turning point in the government from really anti-Semitism to more or less normal. But I never said that I could walk the streets freely without being throwing rocks or whatever.
What else can you tell us about how the Jews were treated before the Anschluss?
Life was pretty normal. I don't think that anyone went out of the way to make it miserable. But after that, yes, I was afraid to walk the streets.
What do you remember of the Anschluss?
I remember the Nazis coming in, army occupation, and the first 2 days, 3 days, it was just nothing abnormal. But after that, it went down. We began to be afraid to walk in streets, and it got worse.
How did your life change after the Anschluss?
Well, my life, the first year or so, life stayed down fairly normal. But we always knew that something was going to be bad. And it did happen afterwards.
What happened?
The Jews were made to be different. And you were afraid. Then gradually it began to realize we might not be living very long, but sort of it became normal and afraid.
Did you have any encounters with the Nazis?
No.
Did you ever see Hitler?
Did you ever?
See Hitler.
Oh, yes, I saw it the first day he came in. He had a very, very extended machine to make everybody like Hitler. In fact, some of it even some of it even touched us, so we were Heil Hitler.
You gave the salute?
Yeah. We didn't believe that the things would be as bad as they turned out to be. We said, it's all right. But finally it began to dawn on us that we weren't going to live much longer. We didn't do something about it.
What do you remember about anti-Jewish laws that were passed?
There were a lot of anti-Jewish laws, and I followed them in the newspaper and books. But again, we said, it's not that bad. And until we realized that it was that bad.
Did your education change after the Anschluss?
No, well, I went to a Jewish school for elementary school, and we were fairly well protected for about a year or so. That education continued for 1 year, then began to go downhill.
Did you witness any Jews being beaten or abused?
Did I witness any Jews? I witnessed, early in the game, I witnessed Jews being hit and so on. It wasn't but again, I talked it down and said, "Oh, it's not that bad. We'll be out of it."
Were you able to stay in your home?
For 2 months in the home, then out by my mother, and I got a small part of an apartment. And that was
Why were you kicked out of your apartment?
because we had a roomer, a guy, he and his wife felt that the room was better than what they roomed with us. But at that point, they decided it was better for them to be the leaseholder.
Were they Jewish?
No,
Did your mother think of maybe leaving Austria at this time?
that my mother think that she would remain in Austria.
Did she think about running away? Oh, stop. Okay, we're back again. Sorry about the interruption. I was asking you if your mother thought about running away and leaving Austria.
My mother did. We all did in the first few months, but it seemed that it wasn't going to be that bad, so we would stay behind. And my mother had no place to go, so we stayed behind.
What can you tell us about Kristallnacht?
About who?
Kristallnacht.
Kristallnacht. Actually, I went to school on Kristallnacht, and nothing bad happened to us.
You had no problem that night?
No, we even took transportation, the train, and I don't know. We always tried to make the best of everything, but it wasn't too easy. Kristallnacht. I went to school that night, came home safely, so it didn't seem that bad.
Did you see evidence of destruction?
I must say no.
What else can you tell us about the time between the Anschluss and the beginning of the war, when Germany invaded Poland? What was your life like then in Austria?
Pretty normal until we were chased out of the apartment. And we lived, the guy who used to rent our apartment chased us out, and he took her, and that wasn't very good. But again, we learned to live with it.
When was it decided that you would leave?
Decided I would be what?
That you would leave, you'd go away.
About a year later, after the Anschluss. Up until that time, we tried to make well out of everything. My mother said. My mother was able to make a living by selling stuff on the side, and so as long as we had that, but once that stopped, we knew we'd better get out of here.
Where could you go?
Where could we go? None of our relatives were any better off than we were as far as places that were visited. Finally, I think we saw begin to see the light, that this was not, we not stay there or we would be killed. That's about that time. We knew they were going to kill us. Unfortunately, I wasn't killed. My mother. Okay. Okay. My mother didn't make it, as you probably can see the record. And my mother was about a year before she realized that we better get out.
So where could you go?
We had no place to go except Vienna. And Vienna still seemed like a nice city, and finally we realized when they stopped my school and so on, we better get out. And we didn't get out in time. I did, but my mother didn't.
Where did you go?
Where could we go?
You said you got out. Where did you go?
Yeah, we had the room in the we called it a cabinet, a small plot of the apartment.
Were you able to leave Austria?
I was able to leave Austria approximately a year. I held out for a year, and I held out until the warning came. I was warning, get out. So that's, I got out. My mother couldn't. She didn't have a place on the quota. You know, the quota was that the people of what they called lower ration had to stay.
You were able to go, but she was not. You were born in Austria. She was not. Is that why she couldn't go?
Right. Exactly.
When you left Austria, what could you take with you?
$10 somehow. That's all. And we had some furnitures and so on that we put together, really. My mother put it together to bring us our morale to believe that things were going to get better, but they didn't. So we stayed on for about a year, I think, afterwards.
What did you and your mother say to each other when you said goodbye to her?
My mother, I gave her a kiss. That's it. We said goodbye.
Did she have any advice for you? How did you travel from Vienna?
How did
How did you travel away from Vienna?
by train?
And what was your destination? Where did you want to go?
United States.
Where did you meet the ship?
Uh, ship in Trieste. Went from Vienna to Trieste, and they allowed them to make it change.
Who was with you?
Nobody.
Who were the other passengers?
That's a
Who were the other passengers? Were they refugees?
yes, whole ship, I think, was pretty much refugee.
Do you know when this happened? Do you have a date?
That's it.
Do you know when you left? Do you have a date when you left?
Oh, I left Vienna in 1909. I forgot. All of a sudden, I forgot.
Okay.
But it was
Was this before or after Germany invaded Poland?
after, actually, what happened, the day they invaded Poland, I was on a train going out. I was lucky.
Did this complicate your travel? Did it make it harder because now there was a war?
The only thing is, my mother couldn't get out because she didn't meet the requirements on quota for things. But I was lucky I got out with the help of the American Council. That's it.
What was it like for you when you got out of the Reich?
It was not an easy time, even though I got out of Vienna. But, you know, a 10-year-old boy, wasn't easy to make a new beginning. I think it took me about 15 years. I was not a kind of guy who would make easy friends. So I took a job. I had a job making fun, and I had the job. That's it.
Can you please tell me about a summons that arrived for you after you had left Vienna? Did the Nazis try to take you, but you were gone? Did something happen with you?
The last thing was they threw us out of our apartment, and that was the worst thing. It didn't physically destroy, but it disturbed.
Is there anything else that stands out in your memory about your time in Vienna?
In Vienna, we had no problem, except the last months they used to spit out of us. when we walk down the street.
So you left Vienna and you boarded the ship in Trieste. And what were the conditions on the ship?
Ship was good. We had nice meals, and I can't complain. I think the thing hit me was about 6 months later. I knew I was in nowhere. No. I finally found a job, and that gets me making fountain pens.
When you were on the ship, what were your expectations of America?
Very high.
Like what?
A nice room and on the ship. I couldn't complain about anything. The ship was nice and the treatment was good.
What did you think America would be like?
It would be a nice place. I forgot about what I left behind. I tried to forget sometimes. I didn't know. So the only thing that was, to me, a problem was getting involved in this and that. I did go to high school, but I arrived but it wasn't the same. I didn't have a mother.
When you came here, when you came to the United States, where did you live?
With my aunt, who my mother's sister, put me up, and that's where I stayed. Not for her, I wouldn't be here. That's for sure. 10 days after I arrived in the United States, my mother let me know that I had a summons to go to stay among the Germans.
What was the summons for? Your mother let you know you got a summons
My
for?
mother was gone. Summons was for me to follow my mother. But I had already decided I'm not going back. I'm staying in Austria.
I know you missed your mother, but what other challenges, what was hard for you adjusting to life in the United States? Did you speak English?
In the language, no, my wife spoke English. My mother, I never say it, but my mother spoke English enough, and I spoke German. My mother spoke German, so language was not a problem.
How?
She gave me enough money
Mhm.
to buy groceries, and if not for that woman, And that woman deserves she have other members of her family. She had helped them to get out. She couldn't have my mother.
What was your aunt's name?
My last
What was your aunt, her name?
her name was Hannah Anna, and I remember my last thought was when the train pulled out of Vienna.
Was Hannah your mother's name or your aunt's name?
Hannah Dauber.
Was that was your mother's name? What was your aunt? What was her name?
Clara, we used to call her Clara.
How were you treated by the American people when you came here?
Well, I was lucky because I had my aunt put me up. She gave me food, and I have to say that not for her, I don't know where I would be.
When you came here, did you see any anti-Semitism?
Here? No.
Did any Americans ask you about your life in Austria?
Not really.
You told me you went to school.
Yes. I went to high school. I had 4 years of elementary school and the 5th year in high school. This is one thing I should say. The high school system in America was wonderful to me. I can't criticize. I went to school. They never get no signs of anti-Semitism. And I had a job after school, making fun. I had a job, and if I needed $10 worth, my aunt would give it to me. I didn't ask for anything. But I knew she wasn't in the worst condition.
How long were you able to stay in touch with your mother in Europe?
With my mother,
How long were you able to stay in touch?
I was in touch maybe for a year, and then it stopped. It was for 1 year, I think, and it stopped.
How closely did you follow the war in Europe? Did you follow the news of the war?
I followed the newspaper. I thought, unfortunately, I did not get too close to the war. And I got drafted into the Army
When?
about 2 or 3 years after. 2 years after I came here. And I was in the Army for 3 years.
We'll get to the Army in just 1 minute. while you were here in the United States, how much did you know or understand about what was happening to the Jews in Europe?
It was always the con, always, it's not going to be so bad. It won't be so bad. They're not going to kill us. And, so again, that optimism.
What do you remember about Pearl Harbor?
I remember everything about Pearl Harbor.
Please.
I followed it on radio. I followed it on radio, I guess, newspaper. I was very, very concerned about Pearl Harbor. And I was in the Army then.
Were you in the Army before Pearl Harbor or after Pearl Harbor?
After Pearl Harbor.
Tell me about your military service. Where did you do your training?
My military service consisted of 3 years. I worked in the my military service was in the United States only.
You served only in the United States?
Yes.
Do you know what years you were in the Army?
I think 3 years after I got drafted.
Oh,
I was in the United States. So sometimes, well, traveled around the United States on various assignments.
what branch of the military?
Army.
Army. What was your final rank
Corporal.
and your responsibilities?
Responsibility was a ward, an army. I ran a hospital ward.
You ran a hospital ward?
Yeah. And then for 2.5, I think, 2.5 years.
And this was in the United States? What memories do you have of D-Day? How did you find out what was happening?
Everybody was following every second what happened to D-Day. And I remember the invasion and the number of people that were killed. We had a very, very, I was actually in the hospital. During D-Day until 3 years later I got out.
Do you remember VE Day, Victory in Europe Day?
What I remember about D-Day.
No, VE Day, when the war was over.
To the big celebration. And that was I saved her life. That's the way I saved her life. There was no question about it.
What efforts did you make to try and find loved ones after the war?
I mean, after the war.
Yeah, how did you try to find your mother or anybody else?
Well, I got the job of doing but then I went to college. The Army sent me to college. And it's something to remember. United States Army. That's what set me on a course of life. Otherwise, I don't know where I would be. But the Army.
Where did you go to college?
Where did I go? In Troy, New York.
What was the name of the school?
Rensselaer, and Rensselaer,
And what did you study?
chemical engineering.
Can you tell me about your professional career? What work did you do?
Well, I graduated from college in tons of 1941. I graduated from college, and I worked at Exxon, the gasoline company, for 49 years. And then I continued on with Exxon. That was finished.
How long did it take you to find out what happened to your mother?
About a year and a half or 2 years.
And what did you find out?
That somebody, some German, had her turn around and with a pistol. It's amazing how good the records were, German records of people.
Okay, we're back. Again, we were surprised by a phone that we didn't know was here. I had asked you about finding out what happened to your mother.
At first I thought maybe, I don't know if she'll pull out, but about 2 years, I think, or so, and finally we all found out the real thing, which she was into one of the killing machines where they lined up, lined up people, the bomb went down over it.
Are you saying she was shot?
Yeah.
Who else in your family survived?
My cousin, some of my cousins. That's it. My mother survived. And it's amazing how good the records were. Now I have the date and the place where she was executed or executed.
When did you become an American citizen?
And I was 6 months after I came here, more or less, because I needed to be a citizen of something. like 6 months or so. Accelerated the process.
What is it like for you to be an American?
Now, I have to say pretty good. It can't be any better. The remains of the experiences I had have some influence.
You got married and you had children. What did you tell your family about your childhood experiences?
You know, my family didn't want to hear about it. Very little. They knew I was in Vienna, but then not, I think the less said, the better.
Have you spoken publicly about your experiences?
No.
Have you been back to Vienna?
One time, yes.
What did you find?
A nice city. But my wife liked it too. At that time, I was married.
Is there anything we have not talked about that you want to say before we finish? Anything you didn't tell us yet?
My life is pretty even now, but I have plans, and my wife doesn't, to go to Israel. She doesn't want to go. She's afraid. So I guess we'll probably stay here.
You want to go to Israel?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about what's happening in Israel now?
It's not that bad compared to what we had in Germany. I think it's
What message do you have for people who will watch this interview in the future?
Don't be too optimistic about the future. If you see a shadow on the sky, watch it. Nobody cares about the Jews, really. If you lose a few, it doesn't matter. But I have no complaint, personally.
Is there anything else you would like to add?
I think we need to look out for our people, Don't be too optimistic.
Thank you for speaking with us today.
Thank you for listening. Very important to have somebody listen to some of these things. And I probably left out that or something. But
Lou, whose wedding picture is this? No, don't take it. Just tell us, who is it?
probably my daughter.
Is that your daughter or are those your parents? I know you can't see so well. What was your father's name?
Moshe.
And your mother's name?
Marilyn.
Your mother's name was?
Marilyn.
Okay. Do you know when they got married or where? Okay.
He got married. I remember when he got married.
Okay.
In
I don't think he can see.
Okay.
He doesn't see very well at all. Can you tell us about this picture? Who are these people?
This is my father. That's for sure. So it must be my mother.
And their names?
Is with Moshe Tzvi, and she was Chana.
And the last name?
Chana
What's your last name?
Schechter.
That was her maiden name? And what is your last name?
Delva.
Do you know when or where this picture was taken? If you don't, it's okay. Okay, thank you.
I'm trying to think.
Lou, can you tell us about this prayer book? Did you get this for your bar mitzvah?
Yeah,
And is that the date of your bar mitzvah? December 19th, 1936?
yeah, I think that. From the
From the temple.
temple in Vienna.
And you brought it with you when you came to America? Thank you. Lou, what kind of paper is this? Do you know what this is?
That's copy paper.
This is a copy of, do you know what this document is?
No,
It says Louis Israel Dauber.
so it must be from Germany. Free passport.
So it's one of your documents. It's stamped Vienne, and it has a swastika, and it has, your middle name is Israel.
Yeah.
And the date is there for everyone to see. Thank you, sir. Lou, was this a copy of your passport?
Yeah, the copies.
And it has your name, Louis?
And a J.
Yeah. They gave you the middle name Israel? It has a swastika?
Yeah, now I have a different passport.
Yeah,
I don't know where.
it's okay. So this is your passport from the German Reich. Thank you. Lou, is this a copy of your naturalization paper?
Yeah.
Yeah. It has your name and it has the date. Thank you. Lou, is this your honorable discharge paper?
Could be.
Could be.
Could see that well.
I know you don't see that well. Okay, it has your information on it. Thank you. Lou, this paper is from the American Red Cross. Do you know what this is? Were you looking for your information on your mother?
Yeah, they said, sure.
And it has her name.
Red cross paper.
Yeah.
This?
Yes. Okay. Thank you. This is a very nice picture of you and your wife. Can you give us your names, please? What's your name, sir?
Dauber,
Okay. And what's your wife's first name?
Maryland.
Okay. Thank you, Lou. Do you know when or where this was taken?
It's taken at the wedding. When do we get married?
Well, no, this is... Okay. It was taken in the United States. Okay. Thank you. Lou, are these your children and grandchildren
Some.
and great-grandchildren? Some of them? You have a bigger family than this?
How many great-grandchildren?
Over 30, your wife said. You have over 30 great-grandchildren. And this was taken in the United States. This concludes the interview today with Louis Dauber.